take 80, please. Thank you. Once again in a vehicle, I'm gonna give them directions. No tolls. Good morning and happy Saturday, guys.
It's crazy.
Saturdays and weekends can be a fun time for you, and it can be difficult. It can be a transition for those of you who are new to single parenthood. So you started out, you had a partner, and now suddenly you've got the weekends, and it's just you and the kids, and you're trying to transition and figure out, how do I navigate this weekend? What do I do? And maybe you've got a lot of emotions involved and a lot of challenges, and you're trying to figure out, what's my next step? Great news. At least you don't have to rush off to work right now. Just start. Let's get the kids breakfast. How about that? Let's just get them something, get them situated, and then you go in the room and you take a little bit of time for yourself. Or, as I always talk to you guys about, first thing in the morning, just get up before the kids and just make sure you're giving yourself time, whether that's exercise, whether that's reading a book, doing something that gives you life, gives you energy, makes you feel good about yourself would be fantastic. But during this transition, what's one of the best ways to do it? I recommend you just go out and you maybe get some fresh air. You try not to focus on the separation, the breakup, and try to just give yourself some time and some space and recognize there's no perfect answer, no perfect way. Yes. Gonna take 287. It'll tell you what to do. Yeah. We're having fun over here. Once again, I'm on the road, but I'm not in tornado, so that's good news. And so my husband can navigate. He can help guide him. And to the right, 287 to 78. Yeah, just follow the GPS. Thank you. So it would be challenging for me in the mornings, especially like when you're alone or on the weekends and you're by yourself. And I would be up, and I would, it would be sad, because it's sad to go from transitioning from having somebody there to not. But let me tell you, a lot of times in single parent situations, or where there's about to be a breakup, that relationship was already strained from the beginning, and you probably had a lot of alone days already. You just were kind of in denial, or you felt some level of comfort because the person was still home or in the home. But you were probably alone for a long while, and it probably was not healthy. Chances are there was fighting and all sorts of disrespect going on. So recognize you've been doing it alone for a while. Just make sure it goes 8 and not 78. All the way up to 80. Okay. You probably were doing it alone, because there's a lot of people that are in relationships right now, but there was some of the nastiest, meanest people who were, they're hitting you, strangling, doing all sorts of cruel things, spitting on you, doing cruel stuff. So you are essentially a single parent when you're in that situation, because you don't have a partner, you don't have somebody you can rely on. So recognize you've been doing it for a while. So what have you been doing thus far? Do you get up in the morning and do you take time to reflect? Do you read the Bible? Are you reading the Quran? Are you are you in the temple, reading the Torah or anything? Do you have some way? Do you not have a religion? Have you been hurt by religion, and so you're kind of staying away from it? Well, that's okay too. But you got to definitely take that time and give that time to yourself to reflect. And the weekends can be the most challenging. For those of you who are just coming in, thank you, welcome, so glad you're here. Just trying to give you some encouragement and some hope on the weekends, because I know the weekends are always a challenging time for single parents, because it feels like you're suddenly by yourself, but you're not. And in many cases, you were probably already that way for a long time. This is a time maybe to gather with other single parents. Maybe it's time to just walk around. Maybe, depending on your financial situation, you could be walking around the mall. Some of you might be able to get on a private jet and just go off and enjoy yourself. Some of you might travel. There's a lot of things, a lot of traffic right now as well. I'm heading out again. But there's a lot of free things that you can do. I recommend try not to spend too much time just kind of reflecting on the situation, ruminating, but really just try to find something positive. That person that you think you're missing, what's causing the sadness is the fact that you're constantly thinking about it. If you actually could just take the time and focus on something positive, there are people out there who need you. There might be another single parent right now that feels like they're in a worse situation than you. Are you going out? Are you volunteering? sometimes being part of a church or some religious organization is great because it makes you have responsibility for others less fortunate. Is there a child right now who's in an orphanage who needs you? Is it foster care probably an opportunity? Is there something you could be doing with somebody else who also is feeling lost and feeling alone? If you sit home and you just start reflecting all day, it can be really challenging. But there's other things you can do. How about going out to a museum, with the kids or without the kids? So we're going to talk about two different things. We're going to talk about those of you who are out, who are home, and you have the kids, and you've just begun the transition, where maybe the kids are with you one weekend, the next weekend they're with your partner or your ex-spouse or whatever. So that's another thing to think about. So if you're just home and you don't have the kids, hey there, Kids Entertainment, good morning, thanks for being here. If it's just you and you're by yourself, then you have a lot of options. You can certainly get out there and maybe go shopping, maybe you could do some reading, but I always recommend still help those who are less fortunate. If you could get out there and help somebody who is maybe in need of food, need of housing or something like that, you don't necessarily have to bring them in your home. And I kind of recommend you don't do that as a single parent. You got to be careful who you have around your kids. Hello there, good morning. Hi, Auntie, it's my grandson, or Auntie, I'm not sure which one of my nieces or nephews that is, but hello, good morning. One of the things I recommend is that you just go do something for yourself. Maybe it's pamper weekend. Maybe you need to just go get your hair, nails done, everything done. You just take care of you for a while because you're in India. Oh, nice. That's beautiful. What are you doing in India? And where in India? What part of India? Thank you. I'm glad you're here. And what was I going to say? So make sure you're doing something for yourself. It might be time. Maybe you haven't taken a vacation since this began, and you need time to yourself. There are so many inexpensive ways. Tani Nadu, wonderful. Enjoy. And maybe you need to just take time and get away. And there's inexpensive ways, depending on where you're living. Maybe you need to take a trip to the East Coast and you live on the West Coast. Maybe you need to go to a tropical island and just think about yourself right now. Maybe you need to just enjoy yourself. Find a way. Don't allow that time, that precious time where you can take care of yourself and where you can be alone, where you can enjoy just being a human being and not a mama, not a wife, not an ex-spouse. You can just enjoy being a human being. Take that time and just reflect. Maybe, just go out there and chat with the girls at the nail salon. If you're a male, maybe go to the barber shop and spend time there. Just do something. And I know men don't always process in that way. A breakup can be challenging for you, and maybe you won't even discuss the breakup in the same way, of course. But just go do something for you. It's okay to take time for yourself. It's okay to not think about the children all the time, because sometimes as single parents, we get so caught up in worrying about the children because that is the only thing on our minds. We're spending so much focus on them that it's almost unhealthy. You want to spend time where you are focusing on yourself as well. So I'm going to say, take this weekend, take this Saturday and live for you. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy just being alone. Okay, and those of you who maybe have the children, make it a fun day. There are so many places you can go depending on where you live. Can you go to, like I said, the museum earlier, but the zoo? The kids love the animals. There's so many free zoos that you can go to. Go somewhere and enjoy it. There's safaris. I know my grandma used to just enjoy going to, like Six Flags has those safaris and those water parks. Just something that's kind of a distraction where the kids are safe, and at the same time, you can enjoy yourself as well. Get out there. Do something for you this weekend. Also, if you see that somebody's in need of groceries, housing, a shoulder to cry on, something like that, actually helping somebody else with their situation will help you be a better person as well. So put yourself out there. Be that person that you wish somebody would be to you. Another great thing to do is, if all that is fine, mental health is fine, you're in a great place with your ex, there's people that are. There are people that, whether the person was unfaithful or something like that, they split up for that reason, but they're actually very good friends and they're not concerned about their finances or anything. In that situation, and maybe you and your ex-spouse can co-parent together and do something together with the kids. It doesn't have to be this sort of separation. We see some couples where they still have keys to each other's homes. They know the security code and they get along great. It's just the relationship is not, it's not healthy. So in that situation, and you can do something with your spouse, definitely go for it. Let the weekend be a time where you do what you want to do. If you have a business and for some reason you can't get out and do all these things, then focus on your business as well. But recognize maybe at some level you need to take a step back and delegate to somebody else so that you can have that time for yourself. Always taking that time in the morning where you're just kind of getting up and you're reflecting. And the purpose of reflection is to get your mind right, to get you solid, to get you thinking about stuff that's important, thinking about what you need to do long term, because single is only for a season. I'm telling you, they're going to grow up. All your time in them and your whole life is going to be wrapped around them, and they have to go live their own lives. So just keep that in mind no matter what is happening. And if you're going through a situation where there's domestic violence or there's challenges like that, everything is for a season. This too shall pass, and just remember that. Please use your time this weekend to enjoy it. Those of you who are going shopping, if you're going shopping, give me a shopping emoji, anything, a bag, or anything. If you're going to go shopping, you can go do it. If you're going to spend time helping somebody this weekend, send me any type of emoji for that. Just let me know what you guys are doing. What have you done thus far? For those of you who've been in this single parent game for a while and you're in a great place and the kids are gone one weekend, you got them the other weekend, what sort of things are you doing? Are you gardening? Are you doing any sort of things around the home? Does your home need renovating right now? That's a great way. Those are great things to do to actually distract the mind from other challenges or negative things, I guess, so to speak. Does your bathroom need painting? Do you need to update the cabinets? Is the flooring, is there anything that you can do within your home? Do you need to clean the home? Is this a weekend you need to vacuum? Do you need to dust? Think about it in that way. Like when you have the kids around and it's just you, it's hard to get things done. Of course, you want to enlist the kids because they really should be helping maintain their own home. We don't want to, allow them to just live there and not take care of their home. But do stuff that you got to get done, girlfriend or boyfriend. Get that stuff done. Maybe your spouse always mowed the lawn, and now, depending on your relationship, you don't have anybody to mow the lawn. You know what? It's like $35 to $50, depending on where you are, to get the lawn mowed. So get that lawn mowed. Get out there and make home beautiful. Make it feel like a great space. If you are having a tough time because you had somebody in the bed and now they're not there anymore, they have those life-size dolls. I'm telling you, get one of those, put them in the bed. Hopefully it doesn't look too creepy, but put something there just to know you have somebody right there next to you. Enjoy your time. For those of you who are single parents while still in a relationship, this weekend is possibly time for yourself. Now, if you're dealing with a narcissist, they're going to try to make your life a living hell while you try to find yourself and do the things you enjoy. But I'm telling you, still do it anyway. Go out, go for a walk, go for a hike. Sometimes we want somebody in our life telling us what to do or kind of giving up our own rights and things like that because we don't want to take responsibility for our own life. But I'm saying take that time. Take time for yourself. Go out, get an ice cream. If you have the kids, go out, do something fun with them. Even playing in the park, they love that stuff. Have a one-on-one game with your kids this weekend. Maybe go and have a basketball game. I strongly recommend volleyball as a family. If it's just you and the kids, volleyball can be a really fun game. Sometimes we like to do men against the women. That could be super fun as well. But just get out there and do something fun. Now, I recommend volleyball because volleyball doesn't have that same level of competition. I know in some single parent households, and there's step parents and stuff like that, they tend to use sports as kind of a punishment. So let's go play some basketball or whatever. Then they use it as a way to punish you. That's why I like volleyball, because volleyball requires everyone to work as a team. Everyone has a role within the game. I'm not the star of the show, but as a team, we win this game. We got some in the front who are doing the spiking. We get someone serving in the back, and we all got to work together. And it can be really fun as a family. It actually can bring you together because it's a way for you all to win a game as a team. So maybe one year, and you guys play together. And a lot of times, some nice parks, they have volleyball. Otherwise, they're pretty inexpensive to buy offline. If you don't like volleyball, you've never played volleyball, that's another fun thing about it. You don't really have to know the rules of the game to play. You just kind of hit the ball over the net and have some fun. Badminton can be fun as well if you like that, but something that doesn't have a whole lot of competition, like I get to be the best, I get to win. It's just like, let's have fun together as a family. Can you do that? Can you just get out there and just enjoy yourselves together? Let the weekend be that time. If you do have some religious service that you are going to, that's an awesome opportunity to meet wonderful people. If most of the couples, or there's a lot of couples within your congregation or temple or whatever, and it's challenging to find other people attending religious services. So you guys, a little competition would be fun too. Make some great meals. Find something to do together. Like I would bake breads with my kids, and that would be a really fun thing. Another thing you could do is like make homemade pizzas. My favorite one that I found, unless you're going to do it from scratch, was from Whole Foods. They have the sauce, they have the dough, and the cheese, and then whatever toppings you want to put on it, and it's all together in one section. And you just go home, if you get a rolling pin and roll it out. If you don't have a rolling pin, use your fingers, use your hands, and the kids love that. We used to have so much fun. We'd make homemade pizzas together, and it builds you as a unit. Like everybody has a role, we're all having fun here, and just things like that. Unfortunately, during the week, there's so much hustle and bustle, so much running around. We're not paying attention to just our time together and our time for having fun. But the weekends offer you that. So I'm encouraging you to get out there. I'm encouraging you to see, did somebody's house burn down recently? Has there been something in your neighborhood that needs help? Is there an area that needs sweeping? Get those kids out there with you, if it's just you and the kids, and sweep up an area. Do something positive. Because divorce can bring so much negative into your life, and even the period before you get divorced, pre-divorce, can be so negative that you want to just have time where you're having enjoyment, where you're not focusing on work, you're not focusing on them rushing off to school, you're focusing on just having some fun, having time together. So do that, please. Let me know what sort of fun things you're actually doing right now. Things you did as a family when you were but we used to get books and tapes, and we would just read on the road. They would read along, we'd plug it in. It was really enjoyable. Then we had CDs. Now you can find anything like that. Nevertheless, you can still read together. You can get a copy together and read as a family. And depending on their ages, depends on what you read, but really challenge them, because you can read a novel to a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they will retain it. They will retain whatever you teach them, whether it's the presidents, whether it's every country. The little ones, they will retain it. Maybe you guys learn a new language together, some fun stuff like that. That could be amazing. Go out and just everyone's like laughing and having fun together, or you're sad and it's challenging, and yet you're doing it together as a unit. You'd be surprised what you can accomplish. Get the kids out there. I would go, and sometimes we would go and shovel snow together at different people's home. If it's an older woman or something, we would do that. Maybe it's doing some sort of lawn care for somebody else. Is there an old person in your community that needs your services? You won't know what is needed if you're just constantly focused on your own family. Or the weekend becomes party time and all you're doing is drinking. Then you're not thinking about other needs. But you want to get out there and see, is there something I can do within my community? Are you noticing a certain area in your neighborhood where maybe they need to do some sweeping, some cleaning? Is a lawn overgrown in your neighbor's house, at an older person's home? Maybe you can help. Maybe another single parent is so overwhelmed with their responsibility right now that you need to help that single parent. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about where you can go and what you can do? Are you a mechanic? Is there somebody in your neighborhood who needs some help? You don't want to do everything where you got to get paid for it. It's always nice to get paid. But building friendships are also very nice. Bartering, helping each other out. Is there somebody who needs to move right now because the home is just too much to maintain on their own? Could you and the kids go and help that person move right now? There's so many things you can do. So many things you can be thinking about. What other things have you all thought about that perhaps you could do in your neighborhood? Right now, is there a dream or a goal you've always had that you have not achieved? Have you wanted to go back to school? Have you wanted to teach something? Is there something somewhere you could do, excuse me, that you've been putting off for a while because whatever, you had the family and now it's time? I mean, use that time. Those weekends, I've seen people get their master's degree just on the weekends. There's opportunity out there. Is there a book that you've been wanting to write? What about that? What about, did you want to learn how to drive a big truck or something? I don't know. But weekends can be a time of enjoyment. They can be a time of learning, a time of growth, and a time of reflection. For most of us who grew up either in Christianity or Judaism or something, this Saturday is a day of rest. The Sabbath is what it said in the Bible. So this can be a day where you are just giving the best parts of yourself and spending that time with God. Are you spending time with God right now? And why do you need to do that? I know some of you have been hurt. I've seen some stuff in the churches too that have broken my heart as well. I've been part of religious groups where there's a lot of bad stuff going on, whether it's abuse of parents towards the children or people within the congregation towards the various people. And sometimes these organized religions, if you speak out, they're going to execute whatever they want to call it in that particular faith. And that can be tough because if your whole life is wrapped up within that religion and your kids' friends are all coming from there, you certainly don't want that. But that's a whole other story in another video later. If that is your situation, if you're in that situation and it's unhealthy and it's a toxic situation, you need to find people who are healthy and people who you can spend time with and enjoy yourself. And maybe report some of that stuff while you're at it. But get together as a group. Maybe other single parents, you guys could have a little social on the weekends. Maybe you can all bring your kids together and go to a park, have a little picnic. It doesn't matter if it's male, female. This is not time for a relationship. This is time to have like-minded people in your circle on your team with you. Like-minded people in your circle on your team with you. And then maybe you guys can start talking finance. You can grab my book, 10 Things I Wish I Knew as a Single Parent, and you guys can all get together and go over some ideas and concepts in that book and help you build. You always want to be building your finances regardless of what's going on in your situation. So the weekend can be a time where you get your finances in order, whether that's getting a budget, whether that's figuring out how you're going to spend the next 10 years building your wealth or increasing that wealth or moving things around or whatever, creating a life for the children, focusing on their, college days, whatever. Spend the weekend reflecting and doing something positive. Writing down your goals, writing down your dreams for your children. Maybe having a vision board, creating a vision board on the weekends of what you want to accomplish over the next 10 years or so. Because 10 years will change your life. And really thinking about a plan of what's going to happen if something were to happen to you, who's going to raise your children. I mean, obviously, if you have a great relationship, they have a great relationship with their father or their mother, whoever they're not living with, that would be ideally where they would go. But if someone has passed away, then you need to have a plan for what's going to happen with them. Who would care for them? How would that be paid for? Essentially like people would have like a godparent if you could. If you don't already have a godparent for your children, it might be a good time to find one. So in the event something happened to you, then they would be accounted for. They would be taken care of. They would be brought up in religious faith, that sort of thing. That's sort of the same faith you want them brought up in. So who would that person be if you haven't already thought of someone? Because when a relationship ends, people have a tendency to take sides. And, hopefully the same godparent is still the same godparent as when maybe they were little and you made a person a godparent, you guys are still friends. Relationships change a lot, especially this day and age with a lot of, social media and stuff. Friendships can be challenging to keep. So who will take care of your children in the event something happens to you? Have you planned that out? We call it kind of a succession plan in business. If you have a business, do you know who is going to take over if something were to happen to you? You became ill, you were not feeling, something happened. Who is going to be in charge? Do you have a buy-sell agreement? That sort of thing. Your goal might be to have your children take over the business, but they might not be the best qualified for your business, and they might not even want the business. I'm telling you, I've worked for companies like Avis and Budget, like local franchises of them, and the kids a lot of times do not want to even work in the business. It's the craziest thing. Their grandparents start out with 1, 2, 3 cars, and next thing it's built into this massive rental company, and they still don't want the business. So, and that happens in many businesses. So maybe you're taking this time on the weekends to reflect on who's going to take over, who's going to, excuse me, I think it's time for water. Who's going to be in charge, and to do it in a way that doesn't have to have things go into probate court. Have you created a will? Do you have a will, a plan for what is going to happen with your family in the event of your death? Do you have a living will? If you were to become ill, who would be the person in charge in the event something happened to you? Would it be one of your children? Would it be somebody else? If you and the family, if you guys have gone through a transition and you don't really have the same friends you started out with because of the separation, then it's time to find new friends. It's time for the kids to have some stability. You know, if everything's the same, everybody understood what was happening, and you still have friends, then by all means, you know, include them in and try to do something with them on the weekends. You know, you want to be around people who don't see you as a third wheel, you know. Just making sure we're all going the right direction, okay? Because some people, it's going to be uncomfortable. You know, some people, when you separate, they're not comfortable with that situation. So you don't want to be looked at as a third wheel. You want to be looked at as a human being who is no longer in a relationship with that particular person. Ideally, your finances are good enough that you've already planned out all of these things. But if you haven't, it's perfectly okay as well. Things happen. Some people put a lot of faith on the male in the home to manage the finances and stuff, so they don't really know what's happening. But take this time to really know what is happening with your finances, for the ladies if you're not sure, or for the men if you don't know what the ladies are doing with the finances. We always have these switches of relationships. One minute the husband is the provider and the wife is home with the kids. The next minute the husband's the provider and the wife is home with the kids. I mean, I've seen situations where a lady, she's the lawyer, she decides to stay home with the kids, and now the husband is the one managing things, and it changes all the time. Then the husband is home and she's out. So whatever works for your family, just make sure you know what is going on within the household, what is going on with the finances, where you're at. Make sure you have those wills, living wills, everything in place in the event something should happen to you. And also take that, and that can be a great thing. Just go sit down, maybe at a Starbucks, sit down with a notepad and just write out your dreams. Well, if you decide to have a vision board, like I mentioned earlier, that's where you put pictures of the dreams, the things you want to accomplish, and you put it like on a big poster board. And you can maybe cut things out, and as you accomplish those goals, you maybe check them off. Maybe you put a piece of paper next to it, put a list, and as you accomplish it, you put down the date that you accomplished it, and you check it off. This can be a really, really exciting time. You know, because we get caught up in family life and we forget to be humans. But if you can just take a moment and relax and enjoy yourself on the weekend, it can be pretty amazing. It can be pretty fun. So take that time, enjoy yourself, reflect every weekend. Make sure you're reflecting. And pretty soon, I'm going to start going over different chapters in my book so we can find ways to give you the best life possible. Well, thank you so much, guys, for being with me this morning. I'll probably connect with you again later. Make sure you take this time to reflect on the day. Make sure you take the day to be yourself, to find out what it is you need to do with or without your children. Maybe spend this time forgiving your ex, if that's possible. I don't know. Working on co-parenting in a way that's healthy for all of you, both you two and for the children, so that there's not a lot of fighting and arguing, but getting along. I know it's impossible with some people. They're narcissists and that's all they like to do is argue. So no matter what you do, the relationship, you're not going to have a healthy interaction, healthy communication. But for those of you that have healthy relationships, let's try to just make it as positive as possible. Co-parent as wonderfully as possible. Maybe the relationship didn't work, but you still have your children and you still have a responsibility to give them some level of stability and to speak in a way that's civil and kind to each other. So I'm signing off right now. I'm hoping you guys have an amazing Saturday. I might connect with you again later on today. I'm not sure. But if not, let's sign off till tomorrow. Have an amazing day. Sonia Gallion-Comunica, and the author of 10 Things I Wish I Knew as a Single Parent.